Welcome, everyone. This is Cam coming at you with Shepherds of Men. Sitting here with my boys, JP, Wilson, and O, and we are pumped to be coming at you again. Today, we got some great shit that's going to impact your life, put you moving in an awesome direction, not just for today, but every time you listen to it and moving your mentality forward. And we just want to take a quick second as a little disclaimer, as we always do. If you have been brought to this podcast by a friend of yours, or if you found us online, or you just heard about the movement as a whole, I know things are catching on like wildfire. We're pumped that you're here. We appreciate you listening, but we're really more pumped for you because, it doesn't need to come off as an arrogant statement. We just understand that the things that have been put into us, we can then pour out, and we've been putting a lot in for a lot of years, and now we're excited to be able to give back, and that's what this is all about. We're building up men every day. Young, middle-aged, old, whatever they are, and we're also helping women find the kind of men that they want to spend the rest of their life with. So we're excited about this. We're going to be talking about hustle today. Like, I'm a hustler, baby.
Hey, that's good.
That's what we're going to do. So, but the fact of the matter is, if you are weak-natured, if you're kind of limp-wristed, or just, more of a pansy, then I would suggest, just hang in there. It's going to be okay. Get a hug from somebody. Maybe get one of those pins put on your shoulder and get in a safe space and put this on your earbuds so nobody knows you're listening to it, so you don't offend all your other liberal friends. Then it will change your life. It will help you, and it will make a difference generationally. So with that, we're going to get into it, as we like to do. We don't like to burn too much time. We are going to be talking about hustle, and we're going to be talking about what that looks like in a lot of different ways, okay? But before we get into that, I just want to say hello to my boys. We've had some recent birthdays. We got some different things been happening around the different pads of the Shepherds, and I know life is awesome for everyone. So everybody say a quick hello. Give me some thoughts before we get into this topic, and let's rock and roll. JP, what's going down with you?
Man, I'm excited about life. Got a lot of things cooking, including a child. I got one on the way.
Right.
Monday, man. Monday's a big day, so it's been kind of a balance between professional life and home life, and well, you guys know the whole nesting stage. Everything's got to be painted. Everything's got to be organized, and everything's got to be in the right place and stuff. So dealing with all that good stuff, man. But I do anything for my wife, and I've come to realize that woman was put in my life so that I couldn't be lackadaisical, because she don't settle for nothing. And I mean that in a good way. Like if I start slacking on something, like, I know it. She keeps me on my toes. Like, I was just talking to her. We went out on a date night, obviously before we had the baby, so that we had some alone time together. And, we talked about that a little bit, and I told her, I said, I got to thinking about where I would be, without you being in my life. I'd be doing something productive for myself, but I don't think I'd be doing it to the level that I am now. I feel like you're a driving factor in my life for sure, and some of that comes from just being a man, wanting to be a provider and things of that nature, and I'm excited, man. A lot of good things going on. I know we got some business investments rolling. I know I've heard the rest of you guys. It's really exciting to see what's going on. Wilson, I know you got some businesses rolling. I know O's about to take over the world where he's at. See where you're growing and stuff, man. I tell you, I can't be more proud than to sit at a table of guys that are continuously growing and never satisfied with where they're at. So, to be honest with you, dude, I'm pumped. Plus, I just heard one of the best quotes that I've heard in a long time, and I got to give credit to Wilson, but I'm gonna steal it. So, you castrate the bull, you soften the meat.
I like that.
That's legit, dude. Wilson, I don't know where you heard that, but that's freaking awesome, man.
Discovery Channel.
Let that sink in.
National Geographic one.
I mean, we were talking about a certain topic. I just came off the top of my head because my father-in-law owns some cattle and runs some cattle and stuff, and he talks about castrating the bulls because that literally softens the meat. And then I was like, we were making a point to why we don't want to do certain things with ourselves. And I was like, all right, well,
castrating specifically. Yeah, what we're talking about. Yeah, apparently there was a heated conversation amongst a few of the couples about not castrating yourself.
So fun time.
Yeah, so just let that simmer. There'll probably be an episode coming up. Stay tuned.
For sure. But
And I just want to say real quick though, like JP, you seem very sentimental. Is that because you got a birthday coming tomorrow? Is that because you're feeling aged
I don't know.
or seasoned?
I think I stopped having birthdays 3 years
I didn't-
ago.
Yeah.
Right.
You hit 30, you just stop keeping track. You don't care anymore.
I got a
Yeah,
card.
definitely after 30.
I got a card from my grandparents. I was like, "Ooh, birthday card," And I was sitting there, and Dina looked at me and she said, "You know, there ain't gonna be no money in that."
The days are over.
I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Do you guys remember the day when you turned? I don't know. I think for me it was like 18, and the presents for my birthday and Christmas and stuff went from just flabbergasted. Oh my gosh, look at all these presents to nothing.
cash.
Here's a gift card. Foot
Yeah,
Locker.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Mine-
hey,
Awesome.
hey, yeah.
Mine stuck
That's
around
still
until Mia was born, and it was like,
Yes.
I don't know
Oh,
if I don't know if it was like just take care. Just
yeah.
she
Dude,
yeah.
when the kids come, you're out.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, you
Oh,
don't, you
yeah.
don't get
Well,
hardly.
yeah, and that's an expect.
Oh, yeah.
You,
Which
you
is
have to
expected.
expect.
No,
that
I'm
at that point,
okay
you
with
know?
that. Most
Yeah.
of the time, so I tell my mom, like, don't get us a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just focus on the kids.
Right.
Like, they need it.
My wife's like, "Are we getting anything else for each other? Like, or did we already do? Because we kind of like, I got something or got her something. I kind of get my own thing. I just tell her like, this is what I want, and so I'm gonna
Right.
get this, and it's usually going somewhere. Like, so if I need tickets or something, like, I'm gonna do this for Christmas. Awesome. And then I buy her thing, and then she's like, "Well, I hate it. Like on Christmas, you always get me something else, and then you don't have anything else." And she's like,
Right.
"Are you going to do that again this year?" I'm like, "I don't.
Yes.
Probably."
No, Ashley, talking about Black Friday earlier, she goes out to go Christmas shopping for all the. We're like,
She
I'm
does
thinking
Black Friday.
she's supposed to go, huh?
She does Black Friday.
Yeah, like her family is like a tradition. Like we have to come all the way back from Chattanooga instead of just chilling. We have to come all the way back up here just so that they can go. So, so they go out and do no joke. They went out until like 8:00 in the morning, doing this crap. I'm like, why? I've been out with them a couple of times, and I'm like, this is just maddening. But anyway, every single year, Black Friday comes up. She texts me throughout the night saying, "Hey, here's this, here's that." And 9 times out of 10, it's something that she wants for herself. So she's like buying her own stuff or buying stuff for the house or whatever. And it's like the whole point of today is to buy for everybody else.
'Tis the season for
no,
giving
it's all.
to myself.
So she bought a ton of stuff. Spent about $200-300 in one night on just mostly on her, which I'm fine with. But the Wilson household has been just running like crazy. A lot of success in our another business venture and what you were talking about, JP, which is we're pretty pumped about. After tonight, we're going to be going down doing some additional launches. But man, this work's been crazy. I'm glad that peak is over in transportation. It's awesome that it's kind of slowing down a
Are
little
we
bit.
talking about castrating again?
So
You said peak
Peak
was
is
over,
over.
and I'm not real sure what you mean by that.
not that kind of peak.
JP said I hadn't had that many birthdays yet.
No.
I'm talking about work.
Yeah,
right
it is
now.
work.
You
For
talking
you,
about-
for you, it's still
JP's
going.
work's not
I was
over.
saying, you talking
It ain't
about
over.
peak? Like,
You're about to hit the peak.
Yeah,
Your
our
job,
peak is starting to taper off, I guess, because of the holiday season and stuff like that. But no, we doubled our income from last year to this year. I mean, it's been phenomenal. And when you double your income from 1 year over year, that's really solid. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to 2020, and I think it's going to be even better. So I'm pretty pumped.
I remember my first job.
Same. I mean, we just recently doubled my income from last year to this year, and it's pretty impactful. It's pretty nice.
It helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a breather. Breather.
A briefer.
A breather.
I can't even speak.
I can't. No, things are good, dude. I had an interesting week, and it kind of ties into what is going into what we're talking about today is hustle. But I can feel myself. We always talk about putting yourself in positions that'll stretch you, and my new position is definitely stretched me because I kind of went in blind. I just believed people around me, oh, you were made for this, da-da-da. And like, all the edifications built me up, and I'm like, you know what, screw it, I can do anything. Whatever. It'll be, if it's challenging, I'll still overcome it eventually. Or I won't. And they didn't stop making jobs, so I'm not worried about it.
Exactly right.
At least I'll go in swinging and we'll make it work. So I have, and everything's great. Like I'm feeling myself. I was stretched for a while, and everyone's like, "Are you overwhelmed?" I'm like, "No, man. We just have to systematically break this down so that I'm not." And I'm feeling myself get comfortable, not in a lackadaisical sense, but I'm starting to get comfortable in the role to where I can start being effective instead of just being all over the place and trying to put out fires everywhere. And it's awesome. So a lot of growth there personally. And what's great is if I didn't have this, or the personal growth I put into myself mentally, I would have drowned. I'd absolutely drowned.
And that's a lot of if you're done with that statement.
Almost. Yeah. You can add into it for sure.
Because it's gonna parlay into what.
No, I mean, other than that, it was battling the when you start seeing success in a realm, people start telling you, "Oh man, you were so successful in that and this and that," and I'll touch on this later because I'm sure it has something to do with what we're talking about with hustling and everything. But I've realized I'm never satisfied, and I think I've found it to be my curse and a blessing for me. It's like a 50-50. So I get the win and I'm already over it.
Yep.
Like, where's the next one? And then I'm relentless until I hit the next one. And then it's not even like a celebration for me. Like in sports, the coach was like, we celebrate our wins in 24 hours and we mourn our losses in even less. And it was like, okay, yay, but now that's kind of stuck, except I don't even celebrate my wins anymore. Like, they brought me a cake and I was like, sweet, you guys want some?
Right.
Please don't make me take this home.
Yeah.
But it's, I learned that this week, and it was kind of an epiphany for me. But I mean, as far as hustling, I mean, whatever you're going to say.
Well, the fact that, and you mentioned it, talking about your income, talking about your income, and I hope people don't take that stuff the wrong way, because it does parlay into what we're going to talk about. And it's actually the whole reason that I wanted to have this topic was because the difference between a hustle mentality, and like you were just hitting on it, about never being satisfied, and not in a negative way. I think you should reach some levels of satisfaction throughout your life, and maybe even some contentment, but not content, at being average or being, below average or whatever, but just content with being, I'm happy with where I am. Like, I am content in that sense, but I'm not okay with staying here. Like, does that make sense? Like, it's a growth mentality is all it is. That's what hustle is to me. One part of it's growth, another part of it's just showing respect and different things like that. So
I think that's why I struggle with. That's why it's my curse. It's because I'm not happy with where I'm at, even though maybe I should be.
Some people would say maybe you should be, and I think that you have to find a balance of, okay, and I'll tell you for me personally right now, right before we get into this, I'm at that point right now. I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, from last year to this year, and I think we just do this when we get towards the end of the year, from last year to this year, I'm like, man, it's unbelievable. Like, unbelievable how much it's changed from a financial perspective. I've talked about this in past episodes. This has been one of the most challenging years of my life, from some different situations and things like that, but we've also grown more because of those things. Like, it's been one of the hardest years of my life, but it's also created the most reward personally as far as growth and relationships at home and otherwise. But I'm now, like, we got through those situations and we're good, and financially we're in a better spot than we've ever been, and it's good, but it's like, okay, now what's the next level? Like, it's like we leveled up, right? But I don't want to. It's like when you're walking upstairs, you don't just go up one and then go, all right, here we are.
You're not maxed
the next
out.
Step, So I know for a fact there's people that are on further steps higher than ours. So let's go, And I don't just mean financially, although, because I don't believe money is, shows how successful you are as a person. I believe there's a lot of other things a lot of other rewards you get. I do think it can show how you've been investing into yourself and other people, obviously, and we've talked about that before. But and while we're on that, like, what does hustle mean to you guys? So, like, when I'm talking about hustle, I'm talking about like as little as like playing sports, diving for the ball. Like, the difference between the mentality of I'm going to dive for it and I'm going to watch somebody else dive for it, or hustling, like taking advantage of every opportunity, which I'm going to hit on here in a minute, which is kind of where this whole thing came from. Any of that kind of stuff, or just as an attitude, and we'll get more into that. But just like, to you, JP, I'll start with you. What does hustle mean to you?
Yeah, so I'm glad you said something about diving for a ball. For me, like, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear hustle is running onto the field. I know, like, or running onto the mat. So from wrestling to football, the I want to say the habits that I developed from that kind of experience and that era of life for me was a matter of how important it is to move from A to B very deliberately. You don't, because here's the thing, and this is something I was thinking about. Like, you don't, does it matter if you run onto the field in between plays? You've got 45 seconds in between plays or whatever it is. Does it matter if you run onto the field? Does that actually help the bottom line? No, probably not. It doesn't cause you to get more yardage. It doesn't cause you to score a touchdown, but it does affect your mind, which is far more important, because ultimately later on in the game, if that team is still running on the field and the other team's got their hands on their knees, they're beat.
Yep.
You know, and it's like that in life too. And to me personally, hustle, what it means to me is focus. When I see somebody that is truly focused, that's what I think of, that somebody's hustling. Because when you're hustling, you don't see all the BS around you. You're more of a tunnel vision on things. And I know I've been doing a lot of reading on something called the AMRAP method. That's as many reps as possible. But the guy that wrote the book, Ryan Khalifa, or Jason Khalifa, sorry, I butchered that.
Wiz Khalifa?
Was that?
Nothing.
No, it's not Wiz Khalifa. No, it's Jason Khalifa. But he goes into talking about living deliberately and focused effort, which is kind of a hustle, man. Like when you go to work, you hustle for that time that you're at work, and then when you switch gears and you hustle at home. You know, and you switch gears after that and you hustle, and everything about your day is a hustle. So for me, it's kind of a focused effort and a deliberate existence and a deliberate, movement in whatever direction that you're doing, or effort towards whatever it is. So, I mean, and for me, obviously, you know, opportunities, and like you talk about, the currency doesn't define a man. I don't think anybody here defines themselves by the money they make. Not that big of a deal. More money's better because you can make a bigger impact, because that's where your heart's at. But you know, the money, the impact, and all those things are kind of a byproduct of the hustle.
Yep.
You know, if you hustle, it's kind of a byproduct of it. So, I mean, what do you think, Wilson?
I'm glad you went that way. I agree 100% about what you had to say. I would add to it or go into more detail it is a mindset. It is a non-settling mindset of wanting more or wanting to achieve whatever goal you have set out, and you are tenacious about it, like what you were saying, that you go until you get it and don't let anything sway from it. So in our life, I mean, it's been... I agree with the money doesn't define you, but I look at it in mindset wise. Why don't you make enough to where you don't have to think about it anymore? And if you have enough coming in that you don't have to think about it anymore, then think about where your mind power can go to other things that are a little even more productive, where you're focused on your family, you're focused on your religion or whatever you believe in, or your charities or your community more. When you have enough money coming in that takes care of your needs and you have an abundance, then you should be able to relax a little bit in a sense of your mind, where you're not so stressed out about where the money's going to be coming from. Then you could focus on what really matters. The money is just there and it's a tool. Well, you leverage it and look at it like a tool and say, okay, I'm going to make as much as I can possibly make to where I don't have to worry about suffering anymore. What I can't stand is when somebody goes and says, I make $36,000 a year. I'm doing pretty good. You cannot live on $36,000 a year if you're 18 coming out of school. You know, I've sat down in business multiple times with budget meetings and stuff, and literally these budgets are, if I have a $500 hit come to me unexpectedly, they're not going to be able to do anything. Like, where are you going to put that money? Where are you going to have? They're so over leveraged and not having enough money. It's like, dude, one guy, phenomenal cook, living in one place that's just not going to be conducive for the income, could literally drive 30 minutes away and double his income by one simple transaction. But he doesn't have a hustle mindset, because he's like, no, I'm going to stay here. That's the mindset.
But he's content. He's comfortable. He's happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Don't be comfortable.
That's where, and maybe that's one of my things I don't want, and maybe that's why I don't know. But that's not, that's on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's not built like us.
Right.
You know, where we're always hungry for that next W.
Right.
So good for him.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think there's a portion of our society that's necessary, because somebody's got to play that role. You know?
They do.
And if you're
I don't relate to it, but
If you're 18 and doing that, that's not bad. But if you're about to raise a family,
and I
you're
think that's what we
actually
see
gonna
in
have
society,
kids.
and the reason that we all are passionate about what we're doing here is because I think we've seen that age change, where it's like what should be considered like this is good for a high schooler to do,
Right.
shouldn't be like your mid-20s
Right.
or mid-30s.
Well,
You
yeah,
shouldn't, you shouldn't make a career out at a fast food restaurant.
if you're going to
the
college
rest of
and
your
you're
life.
trying to get an education, you're making $30,000 a year. You're doing pretty good, bringing in some cash flow while you're in college. You know, but as you get a little bit older, you know, and if you're 30 years old and you live in your mom's basement and you're making $30,000 a year, you might want to reevaluate,
Or,
you know, where you're at,
or at least don't complain about it.
or yeah,
Because and I'll get to the story here in a minute, but the reason that this kind of came fresh to my mind about this hustle thing was a conversation I had with one of my employees, and he's going to listen to this. He already knows because he listens and he loves what we're doing here, and he already knows that I would have this conversation if he was sitting right here.
Right.
But there was a mentality that I kind of had to check him on, and he's about 15 years older than I am.
Okay.
And I kind of had to check him on his mentality on the way that he was approaching what we do in sales and whether he was willing to hustle to go get it or because he was complaining about where he is financially. And I'm like, that's great. And he'll be the first to admit it's his fault. He'll tell you straight up. He don't even know you guys. He knows you from the podcast, but he doesn't know you in person. But he would tell you it's my fault. You know, I'm not going to say his name, but it's my fault. I'm here because of my decisions, nobody else. And that's what I was trying to remind him of. Is it can if you know that, then don't ever complain about it. Don't say this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Just fix it. You know?
I think that's the big problem with nowadays too, because you look at divorce rates or divorce rates and the reasons behind them is money.
Yeah.
A lot of the times and if you're content making $36,000, which I made that for a while, and then I was a technician and we made more, you know, and we got more than that. And then of course sales and you basically write your own check in sales as long as you can hustle.
Yep.
And but I think
Right.
I'm saying everybody should be a salesman.
Right.
I'm
No.
saying everybody should have a hustle mentality.
Well,
Right,
need to
exactly.
put
You can.
those-
I hustled as a tech. I mean, it was we
Yeah.
had jobs we had to complete through the day, and if you wanted to complete all those jobs, you had to freaking hustle or get better at your job and learn how to install things faster. You know, tradesman mentality. But no, I think the again, income's not make or break for most people. If you're content where you are and you're happy and you're living within your means, then you're not going to have an issue. But if you're like you said, don't complain about where you are if you're not willing to hustle to get to the next level.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if you are willing to hustle, the good thing about this is there's so many people out there that don't know what they want out of life. I mean, there's a huge percentage of people that don't know what they want out of life. And even if you don't know what you want out of life, get out there and hustle, work your ass off, and opportunities will arise that will make you understand what you want out of life. If you hustle,
Your
good
value
things
will
happen.
be seen by people that matter.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
and that's really what I wanted to get into as far as like the core piece of hustle. And I got taught this by my dad. You guys hear me talk about stuff about my dad all the time. It's all those little things I look back on. And I was there this past week visiting, and he's still the same dude. You know, like it's still the little stuff.
Dude, you look like your dad.
Did you see
Yeah, I
that picture?
saw the
Oh my
picture.
gosh.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's the
Good-looking
first
dude.
picture I've ever seen of your
That's
dad.
one
You
sexy
look like
man.
your dad.
He's got a couple of years on me, but other than that, he's pretty good looking.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so and he's awesome, but it was always the little stuff. And I remember as a kid, like, and y'all heard the story, small town, whatever. Like when you go get milk, it's not like you're going to the Publix. It's like you're going to the gas station that doesn't have a brand on the sign.
Right.
It's just this is how much the gas
Local
is.
grocer.
You know,
It's a family thing.
yeah, a little family thing or whatever. So, but we'd go do stuff like that or just go pick something, and I would literally see him jog, no joke, jog the 20 feet from the truck to the store, like something's on fire, you know, and then come out of the store and jog back. And I remember when I was a kid and I was first noticing that, like for a while I never even paid attention, but then when I first started noticing, I was like, Dad, wait, is everything all right? Why are you running? And he was like, why wouldn't I? Like, what? I mean,
Only got so much daylight.
yeah, like what would we walk for? But it to this, I mean, I remember that vividly. Like all these little, to most people, was insignificant things, and I don't know if he did this on purpose, just because I was watching. I don't. Maybe he didn't do it when I wasn't there, but he just always jogged to where he was going.
You know what's funny about that, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's scientific studies that show that successful people tend to walk faster.
Walk faster,
Yes.
yeah.
Than
You
people
walk
that
on
aren't.
purpose. You're going somewhere. You're not just out for a stroll.
Right.
Right? I mean, nothing
So my-
wrong with taking a stroll and chilling out, but like most times during the day, I know for all of us, I'm trying to get somewhere.
Hey,
Yeah,
my road
that's
rage
the
is
same way.
justified.
It's justified. I mean, I got places to be.
I'm the same way when any task that I do, I'm like, I'm not going to go do this or talk to you if I don't have some reason because you're in the way to get to my purpose. I mean, I'm a little cut off when it comes to relationships in that regard. So that's
wait,
one
you're
of my
saying
bad
you're
things.
self-centered. You just admitted that you
Totally
were
am.
self-centered.
Totally, we all are.
For most part, we are. But I mean, it's funny though because
It's healthy to an
you have to
degree.
literally consciously think about who you need to reach out to and keep in your life when they're not involved in your pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's funny how you could just totally distance yourself from so many people focused like how we are. I mean, I have to consciously think about it and go, oh, crap, I haven't talked to this guy in forever. I'd like to reach out to him or whatever. And these are people that I want to keep in touch with. But, I mean, we're talking about hustling as men because this is Shepherds of Men movement and talking about how you settle for less income, raising a family. As a man, we're supposed to provide. We're supposed to provide and protect. And if you're borderline being divorced because of income, dude, you need to man up. And you need to go figure out what needs to be done to fix that financial issue. You have the power in your mind. You have, if you have a smartphone, there is no excuse because you can Google.
O'Neill even just said it. Like,
you could YouTube.
regardless of skill sets, like they ain't gonna stop making jobs.
There's never.
They might look different than they did 20 years ago, but there's still plenty of stuff to do out there. You might not love it.
And I see people because we work and live in a factory town. These people get stuck in these jobs for their whole entire life. I'm like, that's all you see for yourself?
Well, and
that's nothing wrong with it.
And that's fine. No, listen, I worked in a factory to make a living for a little while, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. But to Cameron's point, if you walk out of work bitching about how your job is so tough and you hate your job, like, come on, man, it's time to become a better man.
And there's some people that are in those environments and they're as happy as a lark and they love it and they come home and I think that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
I truly do. Listen, the truth, somebody's got to do it, and God obviously created you for that role, or you wouldn't have so much joy in it. Okay, but what I understand is that if you don't have joy in what you're doing, it's probably not your purpose.
Right.
It's probably not what you were designed to do. If it was, you wouldn't feel like it was such a struggle. Right. And so, and I can speak for myself when I've been in environments, especially employee environments, I am not a good employee. No. I cannot stand when somebody else is telling me what to do, or I have to count on somebody else to get something done, or any of that nonsense.
Amen to that.
Like, it's just not for me. And I've realized even more so recently that the reason that I don't find joy in that is because that is not how I was created. Some people are, and I don't put it down. I really don't. I think if you are a factory worker, if you're blue collar or white collar or no collar, it doesn't really matter, but you better freaking hustle while you're there. Whatever it is, you better be the best damn one there is.
Absolutely.
Right? And you better have a good attitude about
And
it.
most of the time, the ones that walk out of there that aren't bitching about their jobs are some of the best ones in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they go in there, they do their jobs, they do it to
and if you check their bank accounts, they're in good stand. You're like, because they got their crap together.
That's where they want to be.
That's where they want to be.
Yep.
You know, and I think it's awesome. I mean, I could give you another example of somebody that I work very closely with. I think he's probably reached the point that he wants to be. We're not the same wavelength with that, but I think that's great. He's making more money than he's ever made in his life. He's doing better than he's ever thought he was going to do. And I feel like he's kind of peaked out. And he's totally happy. And that's great, dude. I mean, it really, truly is great. You know, how our relationship changes because of that, I don't know. Because I ain't peaked out.
No.
My peak season is not here yet. So a couple of quick things. And these are just quick stories based on some things you said, but I think maybe they'll help somebody. Quick little nugget stuff. You talked about the football field, right? And not everybody's football fans, but whatever. It's a great sport. I played football, went to a small school. Specifically, one of the things when I think about hustle, and you talked about running on and off the field and what that does to your opponent's view of you, or if you're getting in their head or whatever. I think this was high school, it might have been middle school, it was one of the two. We had the same coach. We were pretty good. And we beat this team, I don't know, a couple touchdowns, whatever. Handled the game easily, whatever. And they were getting tired towards the end of the game. After the game, on their field, we ran sprints after the game. Not to be whatever, but just to be like, we still got more left. We still have more left because they were a division and we had to play them again coming up. We already beat them the next game. It's that mentality. And our coach knew that. He understood, like, we're about to break them right now because we just beat them and now we're going to run on their field. So we're out there running sprints, hating it, and not understanding that the coach was brilliant. Something you said about I don't know, what you can afford, what you can't afford, if financial situations. Oh, maybe it's gas mileage, or I don't know what it was, but I heard a comment today from a guy who was looking at some property, and he had a truck, and I was thinking about buying it from him. So like,
Right.
But we were talking about trucks in general, gas mileage, all this kind of stuff, and I said, well, that ain't what you buy them for. You know, you don't buy them for mileage. He's like, yeah, I've always said if you have to ask the mileage, you can't afford the truck.
Exactly.
Right. I thought that was just a brilliant statement.
Well,
So
I was to the story was that somebody wasn't willing to drive just 30 minutes to
Right.
increase their income.
So they probably should. So, okay, so kinds of hustle, the physical type. You know, we've talked a lot about that, running on and off the field, running to just do whatever chores. I caught myself while I was outside the studio here a minute ago. I like jog to the car, jog back. No reason. It's just become a natural, like this is just how we move now. Working your calendar. That's the other kind of hustle I wanted to talk about. So, like, taking advantage of every opportunity within your day, you know, like whether it be with family, you know, work relationships or work responsibilities, those kinds of things. Specifically, you know, you talked about sales. Oh, you really can, I believe, you can write your own check if you're in the right vehicle with the right people, and you have the right mentality. Then you can approach it, and not so people get it twisted. Like when we're talking about, oh, am I supposed to not have a good work-life balance? Like, no, that's ridiculous. I'm just talking about for the time, the hours that you've dedicated in your calendar each day, use them all up. Like, don't waste any of them. And so I want to get y'all's input on some of this, maybe some calendar stuff or how you hustle throughout your day, because y'all have all excelled in your different industries, right? And I bet you could go back and look at just little daily things that you do that aren't that magnificent in and of themselves. But they're just that one little thing extra that you did that the dude in the cubicle next to you didn't do, or the guy on the other phone line didn't do, or the guy in the other car riding around didn't do, or whatever the other technician didn't do, all throughout your career. And now it's created more, it's opened more doors, right? So going back to my story a little while ago, the guy that works for me was, I was giving him an opportunity to go make a sale. The way I look at it is like, you have an opportunity to drive to somebody's house and collect money. That's the way I always look at it.
Basically.
Well, what if I don't sell it? Well, I don't know, man, but if you don't go, you definitely ain't going to pick it up. Right. So it was one of those where it's like, it's midday, maybe early afternoon. People are already thinking about, well, you know, we're almost kind of done for the day, whatever. We could just call it. And I was telling him, like, there's another opportunity across town. It's only like 1:00. You could haul over there, maybe close a big deal, make some good money, come back home. It's still only 5:00. And he was kind of being a little wishy-washy. And just earlier in the same conversation, he was bitching about where he is financially.
His bitch voice was speaking too loud.
It was. It's exactly right. His bitch voice was speaking up, and he was getting lazy or weak or whatever. And I was like, in that moment is when I thought about, I want to talk about this with the Shepherds, because to me, I'm like, are you kidding me? My mentality is I've been out here all day. I hadn't gotten anything yet. Another opportunity just popped up. I'm damn sure taking it.
Heck yeah.
Like, absolutely. This is going to be the one. And that is the difference between what I've been able to create in that environment and what he has to this point. But his mentality is changing. He's realizing some things. I believe. I really like the guy, so I don't want him to take this the wrong way. I believe in him big time. I really do. And I know it's weird for me to say because he's older than me. Great dude. Great heart. Great dude. Super honest. A lot of incredible skills. Just got to get his hustle game up. That's
Right.
it. So, like, give me some things that, just some feedback on that as far as little daily calendar grind stuff that is a difference maker.
I blocked my day out. I have to. You know, when I was still in the field, just because we're still building momentum where I'm at. So I'll touch on where I came from a little bit. When I was in the field still, 8 to 8:30 were follow-up calls and any kind of leftover training.
What does in the field mean?
So we went to, in this sales arena, we were account managers. We showed up on install days and covered the account. And then the goal was to sell the products they didn't have.
Okay, I get you.
Or recommend them. You only have to sell someone when they say no. Then you got to give them a reason to say yes. So 8 to 8:30, I make follow-up calls on great leads. From 8:30 on, I'd say until 5 o'clock, I would hit dispatches. Lunch was not something that I took. I'd swing by a drive-thru. Like, I'm on the go. So swing by a drive-thru, grab some nugs, and we're going to keep trucking. You know, gas station, use the restroom, pick a snack up kind of thing. I never really took lunch. Now, that being said, once I crushed my month, I took lunches.
After you crushed your month.
After my quota was beat by 10, then because we have quota.
Complain about it, and then they take an hour and a half lunch. And like,
all the freaking time. Yeah. So we, you know, and there's, I see some of that now when I do now, but my biggest thing was I don't have a reason to take a break because I'm not where I need to be. So, and we had quota, and then I had 10 more than that was my goal, because I had a monetary goal that I wanted to achieve, so that I had spending money. Because when I'm not spending money that I need, I'm in a good spot, and I love shiny shit, so I need extra money.
Don't we all?
Yeah, amen. But that was really it, man. Blocking out my schedule to say this time to this time is this. And that was when, before that, and I had to make myself do that. It's not something I was like, you know what, maybe I'll do that sometime. It was like, nah, we're disorganized. We're not hitting goals because we're disorganized. We're not achieving things because we're disorganized. So like there would be things I'd get lackadaisical with Shepherd stuff. I have to block my Sundays, like a portion of my Sundays out to make sure we're editing audio and getting things crispy for the release. And we're getting better and better every time we do it. But the biggest thing is force yourself to make the time. Reading. So I have to block that time out. It's 30 minutes and I read more than 10 pages, but 30 minutes at least I have to do reading every single day. Have to. If I'm not putting good shit in, I could not make it. I'm telling you, I could not be where I'm at if it wasn't for Shepherds and the personal growth that we believe in. And it's basically, I'm telling you, like, Shepherds has become and not to be like a blasphemer or whatever, but it's become almost a religion to me, to where that's how I practice it. Right? Is that that's how I put into that quote unquote religion is my personal growth. It would be how I pray to the Shepherds kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want to be effective in the podcast, I have to ingest something positive. If I want to be effective in my field, I have to ingest something that's going to help me be effective in the field. You cannot show up to work. And a lot of us have been in sales or you're in sales now. I know if you don't know what the hell you're selling, you can't sell it. So you have to study your game and your footage to be able to be out there and be effective. It's just what it is.
Well, and that stuff's hustle too. I mean,
yeah,
really big time. Like the whole reading, listening, finding ways to associate with people that are, advanced in your areas of expertise or whatever. I mean, that's hustle. That's extra stuff you're doing, and figuring out how to do it. And we all have families, right? And not, because there's a piece of that too that we're just talking about career stuff right now. You're not even talking about the hustle that it takes to help raise your kids as a dad, which is far more important.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you got to have some income, and the little bastards can't eat. But
right. Well, to cover what you said about talking to people that are more advanced in your field, guys that were hitting 20 and 30 past what I put as my goal, which was already 10 past. I was talking to them in the evenings.
Yep. Hey,
walk me through a day.
Yep.
Hey, walk me through a dispatch. I'm the customer. Sell me. Right. Sell me this bed. That kind of thing. And I was able to adapt my game. And it's not about studying someone else's footage, because I talk about that too. Don't study other people's footage, study your own. But you can get inspiration from others, right? I don't have to copy your game, but I can get inspiration on how you're doing it and apply it to mine. And then I can restudy my footage.
That's good stuff.
What else?
Well, I was going to say, based off your mindset, the post that we talked about with one more with JP, I really liked where he went with that.
Did y'all like that picture of me we used in there?
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm
really.
I still say there was a thing under your feet.
No, you can see my feet up in the air, but I really appreciate you guys pulling the bench out once I push myself up. Exactly. Pull the bench out.
Hurry up, take the picture.
Take it. Yeah, you guys can't see it, but I'm yelling at the wall. Please take the picture.
You see your veins popping
We all know that's not true. He's like napping up there in that position.
Yeah.
But I mean, for doubling your income for us, I mean, we literally in logistics, I didn't turn my phone off. Where some people leave their work and they leave their job with whatever their field they're in, and they're done. They check out. I never checked out. I was always on. That's my business, my income. So if I had something I needed to do and I left it and it was undone, that means I have to do it tomorrow. Do it now. If it takes less than 5 minutes, do it. Mm-hmm. So that was my mentality. I'd get calls all the time because I knew where our income was. 3 years ago, we lost a very significant income, and I had to rebuild it all over again. So when I did that, I started a new opportunity, and I made a commitment to myself that I was going to do it. We went from $30,000 to $50,000 the next year, and now we doubled that even more, and plus this year because of that same mentality. It's not on purpose. It's not accidental. You're not going to fall into success. You have to have a tenacious attitude about yourself. I had to recreate my entire brand into a whole nother new business. Luckily, I had a following already, but even so, I could take it from zero in any field with that same mentality and triple. Mm-hmm. All I do is focus on, okay, how can I take what I have now and double it? And I just keep doubling it until you get to where you want to be in that sense of being comfortable, but to me, I don't want to be comfortable because you die in your comfort zone. And then as being
Comfort zone's a casket.
oh yeah, the comfort zone is exactly that. And I never wanted to be comfortable because I don't want to spill that over to my son to say it's okay to be comfortable because he sees me doing what I do. My wife as well. I have to be the example for and a leader to the point to where she says, "Hey, I want to do something too to help in some capacity." She saw how hard I was working because I had no support, and then I had to build the support. Now the money that I've made, I would even if I didn't have to pay somebody else, I would have that much more. So it's like, everything that you do is helping others along the way because you become good at what you do. So every single day, it never changed. I stayed open and I never closed my doors. I'd get calls 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you willing to take a call at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? Are you willing to roll over and do it?
And I want to jump in on that because
Sure.
I think my personal opinion is I think there's a period of time where you should be willing to, and we've all done it probably. I know I have in the past. But I also believe that you do that for a short window of time so you don't have to do it anymore.
Exactly.
Because you understand the balance of not having your phone on and being present with your children and being present with your wife and doing the things that matter and being available. But I think you can only truly do that without pressure, internal pressure like we all put on ourselves as men, by creating that asset that is allowing you to be freed of that pressure.
Absolutely.
So I agree, but I just want to make sure some people aren't confused. Well, I don't think that I know you're not recommending that you be like that forever.
No,
I think there's a short window of time where you got to be willing to hustle your ass off to be in a position where you can hustle at home too.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can, the time that you put into the work that you do, that 8 to 5, the 6 to whatever 4 or whatever the hours are nowadays. Heck, I know people get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and start their thing. Whatever that time you devote, it's 100% at that moment. But sometimes until you get your clientele where you need to be or whatever, you got to work outside of those parameters. Now, this year, so 2018, it was like that.
Right.
The whole year. Even into 2020 or 2019, and then this whole year, we've had support, we've had the help because I built a business to be able to do that. To where now I'm in it at a certain time and I'm out at a certain time, and then I'll even say, hey, call me tomorrow. But a part of me wants to go, that's more money that I just left off the table. So there is a fine line in certain things of what you're looking to accomplish, and that's where you have to gauge that. So now what I do, even in those scenarios, if I have something on my calendar for my family, it's 100% my family. I don't take calls. So I had to separate my work line with my personal line because my personal was with me all the time. Now my work line, I keep it at home, or I keep it at somewhere to where I go to check it, make sure there's no emergencies, take care of my business if there is. Then after that, it's done again. And then now I'm back on task with my family or whatever I'm doing.
I want to translate that for people that are more used to working like a hourly type position. They're like, well, I don't take calls. There's no reason for me to have people calling me at middle of the night or whatever. So what that looks like for you is an extra job. It's your second or third or fourth job because you don't have your finances together. You've made some poor decisions or whatever. So you're hustling right now. You got to have the mentality of I'm willing to do whatever I have to do. Me and JP told some stories a couple episodes back about having 4 jobs at a time or whatever. We were willing to do whatever we had to do to not be in that position forever. And then in a short period of time later, we created a value in ourselves to where one career, one job would take care of everything we needed, right? The goal was never to have 3 or 4 jobs forever. We were just willing to hustle and do that extra for a little bit. So,
correct.
Anybody else got anything to add on that?
I would. So the only thing I would add to that, and I think you guys covered calendar pretty good. I think the first thing is that you need to hold a calendar, and I think a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't carry a calendar with them. A lot of people don't reference their calendar, and to take that to the next level, you have to be very deliberate in your approach to your day. And what I mean by that is like you need to look at it as you're going to happen to the day. The day's not going to happen to you. Like you've got to live like that. And the way to do that is before you go to bed, instead of sitting down eating a pack of cookies or some ice cream and sitting on your tail, look at your calendar for the next day and say, what do I have? So in the morning, when your alarm goes off, you don't hit the snooze button. And you don't hit the snooze button because you have an hour that morning that you're going to read, like O said. You're gonna do your devotions. You're gonna pray. You're gonna read out of the Bible a little bit. If it's me, that's what I'm gonna do in the morning. I'm gonna do that first. But when my alarm goes off, I get up out of bed. I get up out of bed because I have a schedule. That morning, I have an appointment with my personal growth. And as cheesy as that may sound to people that don't do that yet, do it for a little bit and see what changes in your life.
Yep.
You know, so I think you got to be very deliberate. I'm just like how O'Neal was saying, I have to block out. I literally have my life scheduled at 30-minute increments at some points. Most of it's an hour in the day. And I had to learn that because of all the conference calls that I run and stuff now, you know, with my position that I'm running now. I have to be prepared. I can't go into the day willy-nilly, as some would say. Like, I have to be ready, because when I do these presentations or when I'm doing these conference calls, like, there's data, there's presentations, there's charts, there's things that have to be analyzed prior to that. So it was good for me. And once again, like we talked about, being comfortable, being outside your comfort zone, I walked into a position that I could do. I knew I could do it, but I didn't know if I was necessarily ready for it yet. And going back to that comfort zone thing, if you take a step on a stair, when you get your other foot up there and you're standing on both feet on that step, it's comfortable. So comfort is an indicator that you're ready to go to the next step. Mm-hmm. Like you talked about being comfortable, in your position, like I'm starting to get comfortable with it. It's because you've gained confidence and it's time to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you feel comfort, that's your indication. Now the flip side of that is what you were talking about, Cameron, what Wilson said about, outstretching too far. If you try to take 3 steps at once, you're going to pull a hammy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you got to be careful with that too. You got to understand where you're at. Don't go out there and say, I'm going to be the president in the United States and I was just frying some fries at McDonald's. Like, don't fool yourself.
Might want to catch like a local office first.
Yeah. You start taking those steps. But comfort is a great indicator. It's time to take it to the next level. And you should immediately. Don't get stuck.
That analogy, because I love that. I love that. If you've got both feet there, it's the indicator you're comfortable. But what you just said is you're never stagnant. You're either going forward or you're going back. So if you feel comfortable, there's only 2 directions. You're either going to step back down the stairs, you're going to fall backwards because you're not putting good in, you're not reaching for that next thing, or you are doing that, so you're going to take the next step forward. That is a fantastic mental picture.
Well, if you're standing still, then someone's just going to knock you down the stairs.
Yeah, it's not
true.
really not. You don't have
Get the hell out of the way.
foundation.
Yeah. Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah.
So I just want to share a
probably
quote by Tim Grover from Attack Athletics. If you don't know who Tim Grover is, look him up. But he says, when you're good, you can get to the top. When you're great, there is no top, there is no ceiling, and there is no bar. Stop creating imaginary limits. They're not really there. So I think when you're hustling, you're good, right? You can get to the top.
Yeah. Relentless.
Do what?
We talk about
That guy wrote a pretty good book.
Yeah, Relentless is amazing. You haven't read that yet? Then you need to read it. But
It will be by the time you read it the second time.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to go from good to great. It's meaty, so be prepared to get challenged when you read it. But man, it's still, we talked about it in the last one. It's one of my favorite books of all time. But yeah, guy's phenomenal.
That moves us
awesome
directly into one of the last things I want to talk about in the interest of time is the attitude of hustle, the swagger. Okay, which obviously Tim Grover has, and he helps people develop that. But the mental hustle that, like I said at the beginning, like I'm a hustler, baby. I believe if you want to create success in any area of your life, at home with your wife, you better have some swagger, right? You wouldn't have got her if you didn't have a little bit, unless. Well, anyways, we won't get on that. With your kids, you better have some swagger as a dad, right? Like you better have some attitude, or they're gonna wreck your ass. Seriously. Like my 1-year-old tests me more than anybody right now, and he's little, like probably like your little guy. He'll be 2 in March, which is crazy, but like he's got some fire, man. He's got some spice to him, as my wife would say, and he'll test you and do some things or say some things or kind of talk back or have a bad attitude, and then he'll look, and I swear to you, he's looking to see if I'm gonna break eye contact. As little as it's like in nature,
like looking at a dog.
Yeah, like a dog or something like. But I know that's what he's doing, and I'm thinking about this right now. Like I've got some swagger as a dad. Like, boy, you ain't gonna break me, and I'll stare him down.
Better back up.
And I will stare him down until he breaks. And call it what it is, but that's you got to have a little bit of something in you, or your kids are gonna run all over you. You got to have it in the work environment. I believe you got to have it in your spiritual life. There's just a level of confidence that comes with that. There's probably other areas of hustle we could talk about, but just for time, we're not gonna. But one of the things I wrote down here is the hustle mentality of a winner, the hustle mentality of winning versus the excuse mentality of losing. So what hustle is to the 20% is what luck is to the 80%. And I hear that crap all the time, this mentality of, man, you're lucky, you're lucky, you're lucky. I had one of my relatives tell me that I was lucky recently. I was like, ain't nothing lucky about it, dude. This all hustle.
Yeah, man.
That's all hustle. Luck has nothing to do with it. We create opportunities. We prepare ourselves so when those opportunities cross our path, we can take advantage of them. It's all hustle. But that is the difference in the mentality of what you hear. So if you hear people talking about luck all the time, that's the 80%. And truly, that's probably, you can take it to the next level. You say, okay, what Grover just said. Like, it's good to be in the 20%, you're hustling, but what's the 2% look like? What's the 2% of really going, what kind of mentality do I have? All the things, we're just taking it to the next level. So, any other stories, anything y'all want to share as we're wrapping up here?
I think just to bring it down to just maybe people that are starting their hustle or people that are starting their grind in life, and maybe you're young, maybe you're old. It's never too late to start improving yourself. It's never too late. I don't care if you're 60 years old or if you're 20 years old, and if you're young, man, don't let older people intimidate you. Like, you hustle, you go get yours. I promise you, there's nothing wrong with managing people that are younger than you. If you're good at what you do and you work really hard and you earn your place, then you have an earned respect that you'll have. But what we're talking about, and these traits that we're talking about, every single person that is out there can develop those if they put the work in. But that's the thing. That's the caveat there. If you put the work in. If you don't, stop bitching. Like, stop complaining about where you're at in life. Like, if you're not putting the work in, it's your fault. There's nobody else to blame. Stop pointing fingers at other people. And I think to your point, when you talk about the hustle attitude, the hustle mentality, man, just do some little things. Just and take kind of like you were talking about, like watching your own footage. Go walk fast from thing to thing that you're doing. And then just look back, be cognizant of it and say, how did I feel when I walked a little bit faster from thing to thing? And it might sound silly to you, but to be honest with you, you start to own it. When you walk from here to there, like, there's a reason you're headed there. And then when you get there, you tend to execute a little bit better than if you walk over there with your shoulders slumped over, dragging your feet and stuff like that. So, man, walk with some purpose.
Create urgency.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And everybody can do that. That's an easy thing to do.
But here's the crazy thing about it. If you do that and you're walking with purpose, people follow you and they don't even know why.
Exactly.
They're like, the dude's going somewhere. I don't even know where he's going. Something's up.
Yeah.
Well, here's a point too, because I know a lot of us are in sales except yourself, JP. And going back to like somebody who's not in sales, I was like, well, what do? Work your damn guts out. Work really hard. Get your job done. If you have tasks that you have to do or whatever that's given to you, get it done as quickly as possible. They say you got a week to get it done. Get it done in a couple of days.
That's a huge thing too.
And if
I could hit on that big time with like kids doing schoolwork and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, teacher
don't
gave you a week,
procrastinate.
do it in a day.
80% of the people procrastinate.
Yeah.
If you want to be the 2%, you can't procrastinate. You got to do it then.
So, and to go back, and we talked a lot about career. We talked a lot about professional life, entrepreneurship, whatever it may be. But just to touch on family thing, I know I've said this in a previous podcast. I want my kids to feel me. And I think when you hustle and when you live your life on your toes and stuff, your kids feel that. Your kids because I'm telling you, try this out. Sit on the couch, kick back, throw your feet up on the coffee table or whatever it may be when you guys have somewhere to be that morning, and yell at your kids about getting ready. See how urgent they are.
They're not.
Get up, jump up, be on your feet, walking around the house, getting things ready, get the car started, get all cleaned up and stuff like that, and watch your kids move faster.
And here's the truth, man. And I'm not trying to just blow my dad up here, but obviously I love the guy I'm respecting. But be the dad that your kids remember running everywhere, jogging everywhere, hustling, not just slacking around. Don't be the slow walker dad.
Well,
right?
O'Neal made that comment about how your kids will always follow your example more than they'll follow your advice.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
And it'll be stuff that they won't recognize for years.
And hustle's something you do, not say.
Exactly right. That's exactly
huge.
right. Hustle is an action word. Hustle is an action word. So as we wrap up here, unless anybody has anything power pack they want to add.
The only other thing I had in my mind was hustle is like an extreme ownership mentality. Like, nobody's going to give it to you. You ain't going to get handed anything. You have to have full extreme ownership of your life, and hustling is the way to get there. If you want success, you have to hustle. If you want, you can't look at, I mean, we're going to be talking about this on another podcast. You can't take your circumstances and say it's the circumstances' fault. You have ownership of your life. Go make the right decisions and go do something.
Take
There's
personal
hustle.
responsibility, 100%.
Personal responsibility.
So as we're wrapping up, guys, I hope that this has helped. I know it's helped you if you listen. If you apply it, if you listen to it again, it'll help you even more. Dig back into some of the other episodes. Dig into this one more. Like, listen for little things. I mean, we're hitting on an hour of talking here. You're not going to get it all in one listen, okay? Be the guy that's willing to hustle and go back and not just check it off your list, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to do some things that'll make a difference, right? Listen intently, like what JP was talking about. Have intention with your calendar. Be the guy that's diving for the ball. Be the dad that's jogging into the gas station and jogging out. Be the person that just gets up and moves with purpose, that walks on purpose, that looks like they're doing something. Be the guy that stands out at your 9 to 5. Be the person that, if you're a young kid working in fast food, be the one that like is working the drive-through and working the front and doing everything else while everybody else is standing around talking about what they did last night. Be that dude that it's impossible to not notice, right? And if you will do that with your life and your career, if you'll do that, honestly, if you're a single dude and you're hustling in the right kind of way, in the productive mentality, right? I mean, you're going to be noticed by the lady that you want to find. Be the person that's willing to apply this mentality and do these things in every area of your life, okay? It will help you. It will impact you. It will impact your finances. It will impact your relationships. It will impact everything that you want to do physically. And we just hope that you decide to implement this ASAP, right away. We're pumped to be with you again. Definitely check us out. We got more stuff coming up as we get into the new year. 2020 is going to be absolutely amazing. SOM Gear is launching. Shepherds of Men, shepherdsof.men is the website. You can find all the kind of merchandise on there that's kind of helping us support this movement and then what we're doing nationally and internationally. Events coming up this year, and we are just excited about what God is going to do to use the four of us to go out and impact all of y'all so that you can go out and have the ripple effect generationally. So take advantage this week. Hustle your ass off. We'll see you soon. We are the Shepherds of Men. This is the movement.